Okay, it's been a week and a half and most of the parts have arrived, so now I'm going to try to start to assemble it. First thing is take a flat file and check this surface for any burrs or irregularities or high spots. It looks really well machined and it feels really smooth, so I'm going to be happy with that. And then I'm going to see if I can put the ring gear on here and bolt it down. Okay, I had it in the oven on a cookie sheet at 200 degrees. We'll just see if it, oh, well, it went on no problem. Matter of fact, there's some play in it. Huh. I don't know if that's because it's warm or because it's not machined exactly right. However, it's ring gear is 200 degrees. This is room temperature, and it's actually got, you can hear that, a little bit of play between the gear and the housing. So well, I'll let it cool there and see if the play goes away. See what happens. Okay, I counted the new ring gear has 43 teeth and the old ring gear has 43 teeth, so I'm good there. Just going to undo all these locking tabs and then untake all these bolts out and bolt this ring gear on. Okay, I've loosened all the lock tabs and I've just used an impact to take the bolts out. It's worth noting none of these are all normal thread. They're not reverse thread. So I'll just line them up here. There should be 10 of them. Okay, that's all off and the ring gear should just drop off. And it is. There. Ring gear just drops right off. There's the old housing with the bearings. There's the old damaged ring gear with the broken tooth. Right there. So that's going to be garbage. Here's the new one. Still has this is room temperature now too, as well as the other piece, and quite easy to put on. So we'll hold it from falling off for sure. Get a couple of bolt holes lined up. Okay, here's all the new bolts I'll use for the new ring gear. Okay, Toyota didn't have any thread locking compound on their bolts because they use these locking tabs. So I'm just going to use the locking tabs and not use thread locking compound. Okay, I oiled up the threads of the bolts, and I'm going to tighten them up to 71 foot-pounds in steps and in a crisscross pattern. So first I'll just snug them all up. That's after everything is cooled. Don't tighten it up when the ring gear is still hot. I put wood on the floor. If this falls out of the vise for any reason, it'll just hit the wood and not the concrete. Okay, so now I'm going to start a crisscross pattern. I'll go to 20 foot-pounds each to start. Maybe let's go to 40. And so on until the whole thing is tight. Okay, all the nuts, 10 nuts are tightened to 71 foot-pounds with some gear oil on them. And the little safety clips are all staked over. And the ones that can be staked onto a flat surface, stake them on. The ones that are in between on a point, stake the side that's would tend to tighten the bolt. Concentrate on that side. That's what I did. That's what I heard as a hint. Stake the tightening side. Okay. Okay, we're back with the Trutrac install with the brand new ring gear and the brand new pinion gear that's going to go on. And I finally got the right bearing set for my truck. It's a Yukon Gears 14118. However, because mine is a 4-pinion, that original is a 4-pinion carrier in a two-wheel drive, or sorry, in a 4-cylinder rear end, I have conversion bearings that go for the carrier bearings here and here. So this is a bigger diameter than would come with the normal 2-pinion, or this I should say was a normal bigger diameter than would come with the normal 2-pinion carrier. So there's conversion bearings. These are the bearings it comes with, the set, and these are the bearings you have to order, the Timkins. And the difference is the outside races are completely exactly the same, but the inside race on the conversion bearing is smaller to accommodate this bigger diameter on the 4-spline or 4-pinion carrier. And it'll fit into the 2-pinion housing. So that's what I did. And then this is the rest of the deal. There's basically, I don't need the crush sleeves because I have this CST8 crush sleeve eliminator. So the crush sleeve eliminator takes the place of the crush sleeve, and you shim it to the correct distance with these shims. And when it comes time to do that, when I get there, I'll do that. What I want to do right now is, to getting ready for the install, is to put this outer race for the inner pinion bearing, outer pinion bearing, and this outer race for the inner pinion bearing both in the freezer right now, so when I'm ready to use them, they'll drop right into the case in these holes. They'll drop right in there without much issue. So those should go in the freezer ahead of time. And then the bearing inside races here, so the outer races go in the freezer, the inside races are going to go in the oven at 200 degrees. So when it's time to slide them onto the pinion shaft here, they'll just slide right on in the press easily. So I'm going to get those things in the freezer and in the oven right now, and then I'll carry on. Another thing I wanted to mention, a mistake I made so you don't make it, is when I was pounding out the bearings, the inner races from the cup here, I used this hardened steel chisel, or file, sorry, hardened steel punch, and I put little dimples in the seat right around here. When I looked in, I could see them. Now it looks pretty good. I think I got most of them out. What I had to do was take a file and break it into a small enough piece that I could fit a piece in there and just file off those high marks I made, because you can't have any high ridges sticking up when you press the new bearing race in there, or it won't sit correctly and your preload on the bearings will be out of whack. So make sure if you're punching that out, to either use a brass punch, which I went and purchased, so now I have a brass punch for next time. Not that I'll need them, I don't know if I'll need them this time. The other thing you can purchase is a bearing seat install, a bearing race installer kit. Okay, so I've got my 4 inner bearings and my 4 bearings ready to go on a cookie sheet into the oven set at 200. And if you set it at 200, it's not going to hurt them. And in the fridge, or freezer, pardon me, I have the 2 outer races chilling here, ready to be inserted into the differential housing. That'll all take, I don't know, leave it for 20 minutes, half an hour, and see how it is. I went and took some acetone and cleaned all the shipping grease off the bottom of this. It was a real thicky, gooey, sticky stuff. And then I cleaned the bench off, wiped it right down, and cleaned it right off, and tried this measurement again. And now they are exactly within 1/10 of each other. So And that makes sense, because when they machined this, they machined it to replace this one. So they made it exactly the same as the old one. They're within a thou of each other from the bench to the top of the shoulder, from the bench to the top of the shoulder is exactly within a thou. So I'm just going to take the old shim that worked, and I'm going to move it over. The gear pattern on my old teeth were perfect. So I'm going to, in theory, the gear pattern on the new teeth should be perfect. See what happens. It's on. Has to be on. Okay, so I got both races pounded in, or pressed in. That's the inner one, the big one, and the outer one is there, down below it. And they both went in pretty easily. I had them in the freezer. A little bit of resistance at first, but then they just pop right in. And now I've got the big bearing pressed on this, the inside bearing. So I put some manual transmission fluid on it, 75W90, and I'm just going to set it in position here. Okay, so it's just sitting there right now. It's just nice to finally see it in its spot. Okay, so that's the new gear, new races, new bearings. Getting there. Okay, so the batteries in my camera went dead and I had to miss a step there, but I put the pinion in with the big bearing in, the inside bearing, and then I put the crush sleeve on. Sorry, not the crush sleeve, the solid spacer, crush sleeve eliminator. And I started with a 10 thou shim and tightened it, and I had way too much rotating torque. So then I went down to a 14 thou shim and rotated it. I was down around 30 pounds of rotating torque. And then I went down up to an 18 thou thick shim on top of the solid spacer, and that gave me, now I have a total of about 17 inch-pounds of rotating torque. So if I rotate this and watch at the same time, it's about 17 inch-pounds. That's without the seal. It's actually more like about 16 inch-pounds with no seal. I don't have the seal in yet. Okay, so step one was tighten these to 58 foot-pounds and tighten these to 58 foot-pounds so everything sucks in, and then loosen them back off to hand tight. So I've done that. That's hand tight. That's hand tight. That's hand tight. That's hand tight. Okay, the next part is to set the backlash at 8 thou or 0.2 millimeters. Okay, step two. The backlash is set at 8 thou. Or 0.2 millimeters. Step two was to tighten up the pinion side nut until it's fully tight, and then back it off to just hand tight again. Just squeeze everything into position. Wrench to do the lug bearing wrench thing to do this. Okay, now we're at 8 thou. I've snugged up the bearings. This is all hand tight. Next thing is to put a dial indication on this, like so. The next step is to tighten up the pinion gear side until this dial indicator just starts to move when put against the top of the bearing adjuster. Okay, so I did my steps. I tightened the ring gear side down to 0.2 millimeters. I then sucked up all the backlash on the pinion side. Then tighten the pinion side 1.5 of the teeth, 1 to 1.5 of these holes. Then a tightening direction to put some preload on. Check my backlash. Adjusted this to get I'm between 6 and 8 thou on 4 different spots on the ring gear. Every 10 teeth I checked the backlash. Then I ran my gear paint pattern, and this is what I got on the drive side, coast side, I don't know. This is what I got on the other side. So to me, I'm going to say that's a keeper. That looks perfect. That looks perfect. I'll run the pattern over here on the opposite side of the thing and see what I get also. Okay, I did another pattern, 180 degrees opposite to the first one. There's my coast side. And my drive side. I'll move the drive side up here so I can see it. There's the drive side. Still hard to see. There's the drive side there. Looks perfect. So that's a keeper. Time to put it all back in the truck. So I'm just going to Loctite, take each one of these out one at a time, Loctite them, put them back in. I'm going to put the locking tabs in. I'm going to put my oil seal, take the companion flange off, put my oil seal in, button all that up, and drop it in the truck. We're all good.